So let's talk about how you can get the best weapons and gear in Final Fantasy 16. This can help you a lot with damage and are some of the best options before New Game Plus. Also, there's a secret way to get an extra companion with you, which I haven't seen anyone talking about. So we're gonna talk about all of this in this video. Quick heads up, most of this is done towards the end of the main story, so if you don't want any spoilers of any kind, just wait until then and come back later. By the way, these are the items right here, and it includes the Goter Damarang, a legendary sword that gives you 375 bonus to damage. It's also an Easter egg from Final Fantasy VII Remake and I believe from other Final Fantasy games too. This has the highest damage before reaching New Game Plus and getting upgraded versions from over there, including the Ultima Sword. Also a belt and a wrist item for the extra defenses, and one of the best accessories in the game for the extra damage that excludes the easy mode rings. So let's get started with the sword. You get this by completing the quest chain called Blacksmith Blues that you can start at the Hideaway by talking to this NPC called August. This quest chain starts at around the middle of the main story and progressively unlocks follow-up quests until the end game, with a total of 4 side quests that you have to complete for the final sword. So for the first Blacksmith Blues, your main objective is to locate and defeat the Griffin Desmere, one of the hunts you can check on the hunting board. To find it, simply head over to this location just south of the Lost Wing Obelisk, close to the Cair Norvent River Lake right here. There's going to be an enemy here that spawns, you have to defeat it, and at the end of it, there's going to be a wounded NPC that will come out of the woods and will give you the ladder that you need to finish this quest. Once done, simply go back at the Hideaway, give in the quest to the blacksmith, and this is going to finish it, as well as give you the design draft for the Drake Slayer belt. This is going to be something of a low level, but you can still craft it and make use of it. Now for the second Blacksmith Blues, again talk to August, and now you're going to be sent to the Deli Mill Inn right here in this region. Here you will have to talk with a bunch of NPCs on the second floor of the building, and eventually they'll point you towards a gang of bandits in the same region. They aren't too far off, so head over there, defeat them, retrieve the item, and head over back. Once at the blacksmith, this is going to complete the mission and also give you the blueprints to craft the Excalibur sword. You can totally craft it if you want to. There are some mats that you need from hunting bounties, but otherwise it's not needed for the final sword. Now the third quest in the chain will bring you to Drevozd in the Dalmakian Republic, and you can find this between the Dalimil Inn and Tabor. Here you will have to talk to the bunch of NPCs and again defeat an enemy for them. Once you do that, head back to them, and this is going to give you the Pit Coal Cinder needed back at your Hideaway. So just bring it back to the blacksmith once you're done with it, which will finish the quest and also give you the draft for the legendary Ouroboros belt. Now this is going to be one of the best items on the list that you can get, so definitely I suggest crafting it, but I'm going to include all the necessary ingredients in a later on section of this video, since some of them do overlap with the sword that you'll also craft in just a bit. So this leaves us with the Blacksmith Blues number 4, again starting this back at August at the Hideaway, and he will task you to once again head over to Drevozd. Now the main objective here will pop right after talking to this NPC, and it will involve fighting a number of very tough enemies. There are multiple waves here, so do keep that in mind, but once you defeat all of them, you will get an item and you can then head over back to the blacksmith to grab the final 2 rewards. And this is going to include the legendary Ragnarok sword, which is given to you right away, and it should be 10 levels higher at least compared to the best crafted version you get from just defeating icons and completing the main story. But this is also going to be used to further craft the Goter Damarang, of which you also get the design draft from finishing the same mission. So whatever you do, make sure that you still keep Ragnarok, since you're gonna use this as well as some Orichalcum, a bunch of Dark Steel, and a certain horn from some of the bounties you can find out in the wild. So let's start with the Orichalcum, since there are a few sources you can get these in, including bounties as well as side quests. So you will need 3 for the sword and 1 for the belt. So for the bounties, you can hunt the Atlas, a max rank boss that spawns around this platform in Cressida, east of Martha's Rest. It's not an easy fight, but it does drop 1 piece of that ingredient that you need. Another bounty is going to be Gorgimera, and you find this just north of the Dalimil Inn, not too far off, right here in the desert. Defeating it also gives you one of those ingredients. Now there are two more options including side quests. So the first one is going to be called Under New Management 2, found right here in Northreach. This is actually a two-part quest chain that you need to complete, so you actually have to do both the first and the second part, with the second one being the one that gives you the orichalcum that you need. The second quest is going to be Duty Undying number 2, and this is another two-part chain that you have to complete, which is not just going to give you one orichalcum, but also a dark steel that you need for the Gotterdammerung. So you can kinda shoot two birds with one stone with this one. You start this, by the way, in Tabor by talking to an NPC named Cyril right here inside of this building. So the first Duty Undying quest is going to bring you down south here on this road behind the path that's normally blocked from the other side. So this is also going to give you a random encounter against a bounty that if you defeat also gives you one of the dark steels that you need for the sword. And once you're done with that and start Duty Undying 2, at the end of it you are going to be given that orichalcum that you need. And you're almost done, you just need the second dark steel, which you get, by the way, right here in this peninsula just west of the Northreach waypoint. You will have to defeat the bounty called Prince of Death, and this is going to give you that item right away. And the final ingredient is going to be the battle horn, which you find really quickly at the bounty in the Isla waypoint on this side of the map. You simply need to head over up the stairs right next to it and fight the Gobermauch. Defeating it gives you the battle horn that you need, and with all of these ingredients you can just head over back at the blacksmith and craft the Gotterdammerung. And like I said, this is going to be a significant upgrade in damage in terms of some of the other options that we have before New Game Plus. It also looks really cool, and there are several other upgrades that you can get if you do start a New Game Plus mode. Now, if you listen to me and also got the 4 orichalcum from the 4 sources I just mentioned, it means that you also have the one needed for the legendary belt, and on top of that you only need 2 more really quick bounties for the ingredients to craft it. So you'll need Stone Tongue and the Comet Feather, which you get from defeating Agni and the Dread Comet bounties. You can find Dread Comet just east of the Sickle, not too far off, right here from Davos. Whatever you do, don't underestimate this enemy, but it will drop that Comet Feather. For Agni, you just need to head over south of Isla. There's gonna be this small circle area right here, and you're going to find the boss over there. Defeating it gives you the Stone Tongue. And with these, you can now head back at the blacksmith, craft that belt, and congrats, you now have a legendary belt to use, which is going to carry you in New Game Plus as well. Now, besides these, there are a couple of items still left, and also one of them is a legendary quality. This is called Genji's Gloves, and it's one of the best accessories that you can get for Clive. Now, this gives you a 5% extra damage from all sources. It might not look like much, but it's probably going to be one of the best options besides just using the cheat rings. So you get this from the 15th donation at the Patron's Whispers. And to reach that, you actually need to get 2,365 renown. Now, if you already finished the main story, you're kinda halfway over there, but for the rest of them, you do need to complete side quests as well as the bounties. So my suggestion to complete this as fast as possible is to start with the bounties, as many of them are super quick and give you lots of renown each. If you also complete a few extra quests on top, like the one I just mentioned, you should be very close to just grabbing the Genji gloves and using it for New Game Plus or for the endgame of your regular save. Yes, it sucks you have to go through these lengths, but it's going to be worth it if you want to max out everything. And this, ladies and gents, brings us to the final set of rewards, which doesn't just give you a really cool set of embraces, but also an extra new companion that you cannot get otherwise. So this is going to be the final set that you get from the side mission called Where There's a Will, that you actually start back at the hideaway by talking to Joshua towards the very late stages of the game. By the way, if for some reason you don't see this mission spawning or the NPC doesn't give you that for you, then you need to complete a bunch of other side quests at your hideaway before this shows up. So for me personally, this only popped up after I finished the Phoenix Heal Thyself side mission, so try to do that and see if it works. But the quest is rather straightforward, and during it you get the Founder's Grasp Vambraces. It's going to be one of the best options for this slot, and it comes in at about 94 in defenses and 50 points in health. But at the end of the same mission, if you continue it, you will permanently unlock Joshua as a companion that will continue to be in your party. As far as I know, this is the only way to get an extra companion besides Torgal. It's actually going to be very useful since the damage from Joshua is pretty good, maybe even bigger than Torgal's, but you cannot control him, so do keep that in mind. It's nice though to have an NPC around you that kind of talks to you and also does a bunch of other stuff. Plus, it oftentimes gets lonely, so it's nice to have somebody with you. But this is pretty much it with the video. Let me know down below if there's any other items I missed. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.